our response to this question will determine how we treat people in poverty and how we feel about the social welfare system. That's what my colleague, Peter Kindle of the University of South Dakota, and I tried to find out through research we conducted with our Social Welfare Research Consortium. We are social work professors, and we want to teach our students to treat people with dignity and with respect. Even though the US is the wealthiest country in the world, we have much poverty. And particularly here in Memphis, almost half the children live in poverty. As service providers, we will encounter people in poverty, and we are going to have to deal with people in poverty. So a couple of stories come to mind to me. I remember a woman at the food pantry. She was waiting in a waiting area, and there was a wall with shelving and items destined for the clients. This woman gets up to look at the items, and the receptionist barks at her, "Sit down, now!" Oh my God. So this poor woman is made to feel like trash because she looked at items destined for her. If a wealthier person goes to a store, fingers pearls or furs, nothing happens, right? And then there is John. John is in his 40s, and he has worked all his life really hard, but he also suffers from tremendous pain on his left leg, the result of an old injury. So I asked him, "John, have you seen a doctor?" And he says, "No, they make me wait for hours. They look at me like I'm 30, and then they just think I want drugs. So no, I don't go." Healthcare providers and social workers tend to treat people they blame for their poverty much worse. They give them less time, they dismiss them. And if poor people are blamed for their poverty, they don't want to access those services. They feel shamed. And with that shame, they just want to see their teachers, kids' teachers, their social workers, anything like that. So what we have is two effects. One of them is the delivery of services is inferior to begin with because people are not treating the poor the same. They give them less time, brush their concerns aside. The second one is that people access those services a lot less because they feel awful when they do. We're not going to have any good outcomes on anything if we don't treat people like people. So we can attribute poverty to individual causes and think that it's their fault because people are lazy, they don't work, they drink, what have you. On the other hand, we can see poverty as a result of the structure. Low wages, there are no jobs, no access to daycare, that sort of thing. And then there is luck. And here's the thing about luck. We don't distinguish between bad luck and structural failings. It is, of course, unlucky to be born as a member of an oppressed group. But the basic problem is not the accident of birth, but rather the structural conditions that make it hard to be a Black man or a woman or a person with a disability. In the same manner, losing one's job when there are savings and a strong safety net, although unlucky, is not as bad as losing one's job when those things are not in place. And being born with great intelligence, a great ability, athletic ability, beauty, or height is lucky. But just because society punishes those born without those characteristics. So poverty can be viewed as merited, the individual's fault, or unmerited, not the individual's fault. But if poverty is being seen as merited, then we're essentially blaming the poor for their poverty. So we define blaming as the attribution of poverty to individual factors rather than structural factors. People may think that people are poor mainly because of individual factors, behaviors, or they're poor because mainly structural factors, what is going on in the society, or maybe both at the same time. So how do we make sense of people thinking that both structural and individual causes are true? This is how we constructed the blame index. We utilized an instrument assessing attributions of poverty. We had attributions to the individual items, such as people are poor because they don't work. Or we also had attributions to the structure items, such as people are poor because they don't have the same opportunities. And so what we did, we subtracted the score obtained on attributions to the structure from the score obtained in attributions to the individual. And what remained was totally and purely attributions to the individual, or blaming. The blaming index goes from a +4 to a -4, with +4 being most blaming, -4 being least blaming. So if somebody says, well, no, it's all individual, their behavior, the structure has nothing to do, that would be a +4. If somebody says, well, both individual and structural factors are to blame, then that would be a 0. And if somebody says, no, it's not because people are lazy, it's all the structure, then that would be a -4. What the blaming index does, it places these two concepts that appear to be operating at the same time on a single dimension so that we can actually tell what is going on. We found that our students scored a -1 on pre-test and a -1.3 on post-test. So our students exhibited some blaming to begin with, but they decreased their blaming by the end of the semester. So when our students say, yeah, people's behaviors can be problematic sometimes, but there are social structures that create and maintain poverty, that is a lot less blaming than when we say it's only behaviors. So this is what we wanted to capture with this. The idea that while it appears that there are these two concepts going on at the same time, there really is only one dimension, and it is to the degree poor people are blamed for their own poverty. It is very important to assess how much blaming there is, because we want to educate professionals who treat everybody with dignity and respect. Thank you.